thing about the Da Vinci Code and some of the stuff with that, and I'd heard of this account of this guy called Yus Asaf. This was on a BBC documentary. Yus Asaf was supposedly a leader that turned up in Kashmir in around about 40 AD, and there is this website. It's called the Tomb of Jesus. I don't know, have you seen this at all?
No.
The tombofjesus.com. It's a place in Kashmir where they have a shrine or a chapel, and in there are buried two people. There's one burial in an east-west and one in the north-south. And the east-west is a Muslim figure of some kind, and the north-south is this Yus Asaf, who is said to have died at the age of 80. If you look at the base of the tomb, there is a bronze engraving or a plaque of some kind, and it shows 2 feet. And if you take the 2 feet and you superimpose them and overlay them like that, you can see this sickle shape. And the sickle shape is meant to be the wound of where the nails went in, because there is talk that Christ survived the crucifixion. He travelled to France with Mary Magdalene. There's a church in France which is said to have Mary Magdalene's skull. And then this Yus Asaf went to Kashmir, and that's where he ended his days. So did Jesus survive the crucifixion? Maybe he did. And we also know that the Gospel of Mark has 2 different endings. Scholars already know that. And the Gospels were added to 200 years after they were first written. So when was it the Word of God? Was it the Word of God initially, or was it the Word of God after the 200-year later editions?
That's it.
So,
but it's kind of like you're saying with the 9/11 Truth Movement. It's people are protecting it with the same sort of protection they'd give devout Christians will give to Christianity. That's our theory, that's how it is, that's how we're sticking with it, but none of the theories are proven up to yet, are they?
Yeah.
It just seems like it's being steered.
Yes.
Like you say,
It is. I mean, I know that it is being steered. And going back to this kind of ties in with Alex Jones, for example, I think, because he's very much into Armageddon and the New World Order. It's almost, you could almost describe what he's doing as an acclimatisation process.
Yeah.
Because although he comes out with all this rhetoric and is a good orator, and he's an intelligent guy, he speaks very, very well, particularly when he's addressing a public audience rather than sort of blaring out on his radio show. He's a very, very, very good speaker, quite eloquent, I think, when he wants to be. But now you look at his website, it's loaded with Google ads, it's loaded with banner ads. I've been on there a couple of times.
He's got his Facebook network up there now.
That's it.
Oh, has he?
Well,
it's an InfoWars network that is almost a carbon copy of Facebook.
And, I've seen that.
Yeah.
We thought it was...
And there's a spooky little thing in it where you have to put... Is it your address?
Your address, that's it, yeah.
You have to put your address in to sign up. And then there's a disclaimer saying, oops, we didn't mean to do that. But all you have to do is go in and edit it once you've signed up. So it's like, we don't need your address, but you have to give it us, and then you can go and delete it later.
Wow.
By which time they've already got your address, So it's fishy. It's fishy with Alex Jones.
Yeah, I mean, and I also discovered a banner ad which was for the Sun newspaper. It was a Murdoch paper.
Yeah.
I thought, what? This is on Alex Jones' website.
Yeah.
Why is this happening?
It's nuts.
So the only thing I'd say is that he allows you to copy his discs without paying for them.
Yeah.
But if you look at the actual cost of his discs, they're very expensive. $15-20. And I think if you get them shipped to the UK, it's almost double that price.
Yeah.
So you are talking quite a lot of money. So what's the end? What's the end sort of goal for him?
Like you say, maybe acclimatization.
Yeah.
He's there to provoke the thoughts and.
That's right. And the other thing which has made me suspicious too was this thing with Bohemian Grove. Don't get me wrong. I think that occult ceremonies do happen in Bohemian Grove, and these guys do kind of have their club meetings there, and the mock sacrifice and the Moloch thing. I'm pretty convinced that there is something untoward going on with that whole deal. Although I don't like to talk about the occult side of a lot of these goings on and numerology and stuff, I certainly for myself I can't ignore it. Even though I'm not an expert and I don't discuss it that often. I certainly can't ignore it. But I found out that deal where he filmed in Bohemian Grove, do you know who set that up?
No.
John Ronson. Ever heard of John Ronson? He writes for the Guardian newspaper in this country. John Ronson.
Right.
He's probably sort of late 30s, early 40s. He did he did 2 series, I think both for Channel 4. One was called The Secret Rulers of the World, and the other was called The Crazy Rulers of the World, I think. And Alex Jones makes no qualms that it was John Ronson who kind of set this in motion, the Bohemian Grove infiltration. Yeah. So you kind of think, oh, John Ronson obviously wants to find out, what's going on with the New World Order and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But in about 2006, sometime I think it was, we have the 911.co.uk 9/11 forum, which discusses other topics too. That has now been infiltrated and taken over by nefarious people. I could talk quite a long time about how that's come about as well, but I'm certain that's now happened. But John Ronson came onto this forum saying, what is this about 9/11 being an inside job? Why do you think this? And he was trying to sort of canvass opinion. Seemed like a genuine kind of approach, and I saw this thread that he posted on, and I said, well, this is why, and Building 7 was, not hit by an aircraft but went down, and put the main points. And some people were coming on saying that he was a Zionist shill, and quite aggressive towards him, and I thought, well, I suppose people are going to do that because that's what happens on message boards, you both know what they're like, and how rude people can be. And it seems to be a mixture of things. Once people have got the anonymity, they feel much more comfortable being rude to people, basically.
Yeah.
But likewise, for the freedom of speech, you've got to have, one end of the scale to the other, so you have to just take it for what it is.
Exactly. If you want freedom of speech, you have to be able to take the insults.
Mm.
If you, if somebody is expressing themselves in a way you don't like, tough. It's freedom of speech.
That's right.
All you can say is I object.
Yeah.
And then you just sign off the message board. If you don't like it, walk away.
Yeah.
But anyway, so John Ronson had posted this comment, and I sort of said, yeah, well, okay, John, there's some pretty passionate people on here, and they're not really very happy with what you've written, but here's the deal. So if you want to contact me, and we'll talk about some of the things to do with the scholars group. I might have said something like that, something in relation to that. And he did make a post saying, oh, well, this Andrew guy, he sounds quite reasonable, maybe I'll contact him in a couple of weeks. Never contacted me, of course. And then a couple of weeks later, no, actually it wasn't a couple of weeks later, it was 3 months later. 3 months later, he wrote a piece, I don't know whether it was published in the Guardian newspaper itself, but it was definitely on the Guardian blog thing that they have. He posted a piece about the 9/11 Truth Movement. And he basically did a hit piece, and he said that he'd come onto the board, all he found was insults and ridicule and rudeness, calling him a Jewish shill or something, and that was basically the essence of his piece. Nothing about 9/11 evidence. I think he might have briefly mentioned Building 7 rather. So I thought, that means he came onto that message board with an intent to get a story, to write the story, not really interested in the real issue of 9/11. Why would that be? If he's interested in exposing Bohemian Grove, then maybe he is in league with these guys.
He works for the newspaper.
Yeah. So maybe that whole deal was a set-up to expose the Bohemian Grove information in kind of a way which looked shady. It looked like Alex Jones had been really, got in there and,
But it's a double-edged sword, that Bohemian Grove avenue, because for people who are interested in spending the time or have got the time to spend and research it, there's something down there definitely, but other people will just think you're nuts as soon as you go from 9/11 to the satanic rituals that go on. They'll think you're mad. That's right. It's like I said, double-edged sword. It goes one way or the other, and more often than not, I'd say it don't go a favourable way, things like Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so far outside our control. There's not really a lot we can do about it other than be aware